Hey everybody, my name is Angie Murenga. You're watching Just Angie, and today is Mwenyenchi Monday, where we discuss all things governance. And I'm so excited because we're talking about the state of the youth. This project that was carried out by JIACTIVATE. Very original, really well done. Just want to have a conversation and see how we actually now get this from being here to an actual reality, because they're recommendations. So how do we make sure that these recommendations take place? So Rashid, as you're thinking about that, Maxi, you said that you talked about transformation and you gave me a whole spiel about transformation, but I want practical transformation. How do you guys make sure that this works?
So first of all, there is of course elements about resourcing. When young people cannot be resourced by themselves.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the first gap. So it's to identify either where are the resources going to come from and how are those resources going to be put in use. And then secondly, there's also the capacity. Young people are great, fantastic ideas. How do they partner with those ones who probably have greater skill and get the skill transferred so that that skill is resident in them to continue in a sustainable way and keep this thing going. And then thirdly is building structure for sustainability. That's very, very key. It's structure for sustainability in anything and everything. Yeah. So working with faith-based sector to build sustainability structures in that field, because it's the faith-based sector by itself, be it mosques and churches and whatever it is a catchment area for young people. That's true. Yeah. So if you're going to have young people in that space, that's where you're going to fight the demons around corruption, around unemployment, around healthcare issues, the ones that require that. Structures around sustainable structures in the healthcare. So building sustainable, confident, sustainable structures with government, with all stakeholders is something also that needs to be either funded or supported, or that structure needs to be put in place and requires support. Okay.
So you bring the planning, the thought, the vision ahead, but the money as well, because this is, I mean, it's really well done. So I can imagine this did not cost nothing. Money has to be there. We need the finances. Remember the poor man in Ecclesiastes? I always tell you about that guy who had a very good idea. They took the idea, but they forgot him because he was poor. So money we needed. So you're the guy who brings the money and then puts the idea together in terms of strategy. But I was going to ask you, I think this will develop you as a leader, Rashid. Do you think that it has, and not only you, but everybody else who's involved in JIACTIVATE? Do you think it's helped them in terms of leadership?
Yes, for sure. I would say yes. When I joined JIACTIVATE and when I learned about it, I was initially very skeptical.
I like your skeptical. Skeptical is good.
Yeah, because I was and I remember I was having this conversation with a friend, but what is it really that they're trying to achieve? I think it's very political, so I wouldn't want to be aligned to it. I was very sort of putting myself out of that picture. But then when I got to engage with some of the tools that they are using on the ground, and also just to sort of learn about how it is that they're impacting young people, I was actually very excited to join the team, and then to join the team as a national coordinator was amazing. Wow. And it's been quite a very interesting journey, both for myself and also for the young people that we've been impacting in the different counties that we've gone to. And we usually do this pre-survey and post-survey. And what we've noticed is we've had sort of a very good response from those surveys. And we've noticed that there's actually been sort of a shift in the mindset of young people in terms of their space in leadership and governance. And also them understanding that it is very easy for me in my small space to actually effect change in my community and in my county. And so it's been impactful to young people, and we're hoping that it can continue to be so impactful that the other day we had some young guys from Nigeria who called in and said we want to actually do a sort of mirror of JIACTIVATE in Nigeria, because you guys are doing an amazing job in Kenya. Why not try it in Nigeria, where again we have a huge pool of young people who are not being involved as much. And so really it's making great strides already, and we're hoping it continues to do so.
Wow. And how has it helped you as a person, you as Rashid?
So one of the things that it has done for me as an individual is, for the longest time I've always seen that I get sort of pushed into spaces of leadership. And JIACTIVATE is a consortium of over 12 different youth organizations.
Wow.
Now, at any given point in time, I'll always be the youngest person in the room.
Wow.
Right now.
Yes.
And even as a national coordinator, I am the youngest person in the steering committee. And so initially it was a challenge to sort of try and get myself to feel that I'd have an impact on these other people that I was leading. But then it's about putting yourself out of it, putting your mindset out of I'm leading people who are older than me, just killing that negativity and being positive and just being me, being the truest version of myself. And true to that, I've also seen, even from the steering committee members, guys would come and say, you know, we never thought that you could do this, but then clearly under your leadership, it's really been amazing.
Wow.
And so away from just JIACTIVATE, even in terms of me being a young dad, it's also made me understand my role in family at home. It's made me understand my role as I am the last born at home, but then what can I do as the last born to impact my family? And in just every other space that I go to now, I think not of myself as David Mutaha, the youngest person in the room, but as David Mutaha, somebody who has something to say and something that can impact on someone. So it's been an amazing journey in terms of really just engaging and breaking free the lion within me. That is the leader.
Lion has come out.
And
Amen.
imagine it came to him after after he graduated from PLF.
I'm so proud of that. I'm like, that's amazing, isn't it?
I was like,
yeah, you know, PLF positions people.
Yeah,
Well, there's something about going through the PLF program that positions people into the right places and the right spaces, and then gives you that confidence. Because you know, once you've begun to, I don't want to say settle, but you've begun to tackle issues of identity, of who you are, and that you have a purpose, and that your leadership is purposeful. I mean, I love that it's purpose and leadership. That is, you can't just have leadership without purpose. Neither can you have purpose without leadership, and it goes together. And then then you go into this 12 weeks, and life just changes. And I really love it, and I really give glory to God for that. And even when I see you, I'm just excited. And I think you're a more refined Rashid. You know, I really love that as well. And as for you and for your retooling, so Dance for Life. Are we dancing? Do we dance?
No.
See now, do we
But
dance?
a very interesting thing, some backstory to Dance for Life. Dance for Life, it is very literal. The Dutch are very literal in their naming. So it's a Dutch organization. So the initial idea was two marketers came together and they really wanted to do something that plays to their strengths and impact young people. And the biggest strategy at that time, that was around 10 years now, was around HIV. So they wanted a social campaign around HIV, and they're marketers. So what do they know how to do?
Dance.
Throw big events that have the element that brings people together is dance
and music
and fun and music.
Yes.
And then they put in the messaging of preventing HIV, and that's how it started.
That's amazing.
We've had one of our ambassadors, our previous ambassadors, because we changed strategy, of course, was actually Tiesto, who's a big DJ is the biggest DJ in the world. And Hardwell.
You see how I'm blank.
Yeah, I see how you're blank, but I'm sure there are people who are resonating.
They definitely know.
Yeah, there are people who are resonating with that.
We are together.
We're together. These guys are about to know those guys,
This
okay?
young
We shall take it on good record that he's one of the biggest DJs.
He is.
And he was one of your brand ambassadors.
Yeah, he was one of the brand ambassadors at the beginning, and there's actually a song that's called Dance for Life by him. That was the first strategy ever. Then, because of the pull, they saw that, oh wow, our brand is bringing young people. I think if you're working with young people, please try to brand something that attracts them.
Yes, I was
Don't
going to say creative expression. You know,
exactly.
There has to be the creative expression.
Exactly. So you need the honey to get them there, and then now when you're there, then you can pass on the messages that you want, and that's just a standard rule, and that's what Dance for Life does. And up to today, Dance for Life is a big brand when it comes to young people and just working with young people, and that's why we do the retooling.
That's amazing. And what was your, in terms of, because you said you went to different counties, what has been your most memorable experience in the counties?
I think my favorite one was actually in Turkana. Turkana County it was something that was very unique for the lot of us who went there. First of all, because this is a county that is in northeastern Kenya, And so you only know what pastoralists, camels,
Poverty.
poverty,
bandits.
most likely bandits, which is almost actually true because of the ride there. But then what we also got found out from young people there is that I think that was the most engaging county that we went to.
Wow.
We initially had a hard time engaging them because they didn't understand, why are you guys coming from Nairobi to come and talk to us? We have our own solutions here and whatnot. But then when we were able to just sort of sift through that and have the one-to-one engagement, it was really something that was amazing. It was the best county in terms of our engagement. We got so many different directions that young people want to take in terms of the governance and the leadership structure. We got to see how they envision the county itself growing to actually be one of the most influential counties in the country. And then we also got to see how young people there have been able to galvanize together to actually make change for themselves. So Turkana was one of the best counties in terms of those learnings that we also were able to get.
Wow. We'll be back. This is, you've just been watching Just Angie Mwenyenchi Monday. I'm so engaged. I'm completely riveted. I hope you are. And we'll be back for one more part where we need to now get into this report and talk about what recommendations are there and how we're going to practically apply it. Stay on the U.